these are special chocolates, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. Yeah, they're special chocolates. There's something in these chocolates. If you guys actually don't eat chocolate, you can take one and give it to somebody else. And we have a little scene from Willy Wonka up here with no sound. On the main channel, you can unmute the...
Count to 3.
It is?
Come with
Well, we can use our imaginations.
and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
There, I don't have to sing. Lucky you.
Take a look and you'll see.
We're passing on these chocolates,
into
and I
your
want to...
imagination.
Do you remember
We'll
this scene?
with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What
remember
we'll
this?
see will
Did everybody see this
defy
movie? I'm assuming that everybody saw it.
explanation.
I think what he says in this song, this iconic song, is
If
pretty
you
much
want to
sums up the
view
magic of the entire movie.
paradise, simply look around and view it.
Can you make it a little louder, Mo?
Anything you want to do it.
That's the best
Want
part of
to
the whole movie
change
right
the
here.
world. There's nothing to it.
Like, why he does that, I have no idea. But it's just some crazy imagination. All right, we're going to pull the movie back here.
This way, Grandpa.
There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination living there.
So these chocolates that you have here, did you know that they are special, nutrient-dense, non-fat, no sugar? They actually increase your metabolism and they make you lose weight. I got them from Hershey. Very good imagination. There is a study I just recently heard about, and in this study, they gave two groups of people some shakes, and these milkshakes, and they told one group of people that these were just regular McDonald's variety Fruity Tooty milkshakes, right? And the other group of people, they said, these are some special nutrient-dense, make you feel full kind of shakes. Now, of course, we know about placebo effect, right? So your mind might tell you, okay, I'm drinking a really nutrient-dense shake, da-da-da-da, I'm going to feel full and all that. But what was really cool about this study was that they actually took blood samples because they're looking for a chemical called leptin. And when leptin's in your blood, it tells your body that you're full. And when they took blood samples from these two groups, they actually realized that not only did they mentally think they were full drinking the nutrient-dense shake, but the blood samples indicated that leptin was in the body in higher amounts than the other group. So there is a physiological change in their chemistry that happened from their imagination. What? You guys heard of Bruce Lipton, right? He wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. Fascinating book if you haven't read it. And his amazing finding was that genes, which we think are kind of much set, right? My genes go to my son, and his goes to his son, and you can't really change that. Well, he found that the environment that you put a gene in influences how it actually evolves, which was kind of revolutionary. And then environment is blood, and our blood is influenced by chemicals from our brains. All the yummy chemicals from love. He did a great example. He says, imagine that you see somebody you love. Maybe it's your son, your daughter, your mom, your dad, whoever you really love. That feeling of love releases chemicals into the blood. That's the good stuff. And all that, the more you have that in your blood, the more you influence the chemicals. Now, any of you here who are getting ready to have kids, anybody? Probably not. Okay. It doesn't apply to you as much, but it applies to your kids' kids because the news is you can now influence the genes of your future generations by what you have in your mind today. That's mind-blowing, and it's new. So we can actually help our kids have better genes by living a more positive, love-filled life, keeping those thoughts in our heads now, and pass it on to the kids. And if you have little kids in your lives, I know some of you have some wonderful little kids, take great care into what you plant in their heads, because they can now take those genes and make them better for the next generation, depending on what they hold in their heads. Kind of amazing, right? This power of our imagination. Willy Wonka, of course, is the epitome of imagination. The movie has some really obvious themes, which the Oompa Loompas thankfully helped us with, which was, don't be a greedy kid, don't be an arrogant kid, don't be a gluttonous kid. Darn, right? And don't watch too much TV. That was the other kid. But the broader theme of it all was the power of your imagination and what you can create. The power of your imagination and what you can create. And imagination is one of those Unity 12 powers. One of our 12 powers, we've been doing this series now on the movies, and the power of imagination is a Unity power. And think about how imagination is the foundation of everything you see. Look around you now. Everything that you see on the stage, the clothes, the microphones, the way sound travels from my mic to your ears, happened in somebody's imagination first, and then it was created. All the miracles that we see come from our imagination. Willy Wonka was a perfect example of that. So I want to ask you guys to imagine something with me. You ready? We're all cave people, right? We have just learned to communicate with language yesterday. We're good. All right? Everybody with me. Rawr, rawr, rawr. We're sitting around the campfire together, and I'm Garocloid, and I'm sort of like the head honcho-ish over here, but now I have language, right? So I'm gather you guys around the campfire. I'm like, all right, everybody, come here, because you got to talk like this when you're a caveman. I just went out. Big cave, dragon in cave. Eat, everybody, eat, tear heads off, eat, comes to me. No eat, Grokboid. Oh, Grokboid special. Dragon no eat, Grokboid. Oh, dragon take finger, carve my arm. Picture of dragon. Ah! See? Campfire. Arr. You want to be alive like Grok? Huh? You make dragon arm. Follow me. Grok special. Right? That's pretty powerful, convincing, right? I don't want to be eaten by the dragon. I'm going to carve the dragon in my arm, and I'm going to follow Grok. There's a book called Sapiens. Anybody read Sapiens? One of the theories posited there was that society as we know it, people following each other and doing things as a community together, building societies, masses of people building pyramids and everything, came from our ability to imagine things we didn't see. When we tell stories, when I tell you the story of the dragon and you're on the campfire going, I don't want to get eaten by the dragon, I'm going to follow you. You're using your imagination now to follow Grok. Maybe that's how religion got started. Maybe that's how religions controlled people, by giving them something to imagine, heaven and hell. None of that is tangible. Nobody's actually been there. But I can convince you pretty powerfully that if you do what you say, what I say, and you follow me, you won't go to that bad place and you won't get eaten by the dragon. Right? That changed our entire world because of this power of our imagination. It's a double-edged sword. Imagination can create, and it can incapacitate by instilling fear in us that stops us from doing things that we could or should be doing. And that's the challenge that we're facing, is that we're incapacitated sometimes. What happens with fear? You have two kinds of fear, really. There's the fear that's like the con man. It's the constructed fear that comes from your memories. the imagination, right? Things that you remember, and now you bring them back into your imagination and you build them up and you make them bigger and worse than they were, and you fear them, and it's based on something that you've constructed. And then there's the Willy Wonka, or the willful imagination, which is purely creative, means you can create it from nothing. This is what creates these cool things in our world. We don't know what they are, but we're going to create something. This is where music often comes from. This is where art comes from. This is where these microphones that transmit radio waves come from, something completely new. So the downside of it is that we can live in this world of fear, of believing that what happened to us in the past might happen to us again. And so we don't try anymore, right? That's the constrained, constructed fear imagination. It influences us, and we're not having compassion. If we can't imagine walking in somebody else's shoes, we can't have compassion for them. We can't treat them as equals. We have to use our imagination in that way. And there's a couple ways we can deal with this imagination problem. And one of them is called cognitive reframing. And it's a psychological process. And it really is simple. It's about taking your fears, things that might have been held you back or are holding you back, and then you reframe them in your mind so that you are telling a new story about it, right? So, for example, you might say, I turned in this report at work, my boss didn't like it, I suck, I can't ever do anything right at work. I hate this, I'm never going to get ahead. Or you could reframe it and tell yourself, you know what? First of all, the first question is it true that you always do bad work? Is it true that you always fail? It's not true, right? When you reframe it, you ask yourself, no, it's not true. I've done many good things. And so you start talking about the good things you've done in your head. And you ask yourself, how am I learned from this? And how can I reframe it so that it helps me in the future? That's cognitive reframing, taking those things and turning them into something positive. Really powerful and important piece. Let's look at Willy Wonka again. We're going to play a quick video. Willy is going to show us a little version of his cognitive reframing.
Hurry, please. Long way to go yet. Oh. Wait a minute. Must show you this. Lickable wallpaper for nursery walls. Lick an orange. It tastes like an orange. Lick a pineapple. It tastes like a pineapple. Go ahead. Try it. Oh.
I got a plum. Grandpa, this banana's fantastic. It tastes so real.
Try some more. The strawberries taste like strawberries. The snozberries taste like snoz... berries.
Snozberries? Who ever heard of a snozberry?
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams. Come along, come on.
That's my favorite line of the whole movie. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams. That's a very interesting version of cognitive reframing. She's like, whoever heard of snozberries, those don't even exist. That sucks. Also, by the way, I love the sounds. If you listen to that on the movie, like the sounds of them licking the wallpaper is kind of hilarious. It's like, you're like, well, that reminds me of a scientist joke. Did I ever tell you my scientist joke? We're speaking of scientists anyway. Okay, so why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. I thought that was pretty good. So we are the music makers, and we are the dreamers. And one of the unity principles, the third principle in unity, is I create my experiences, but I choose to think, feel, and believe. What I choose. What I apply my imagination to is what I create in my reality, now and in the future, right? One of the amazing things about imagination, and there's another study that I used to use in my photography classes, and I think it's actually probably one of the most famous ones. Some of you may have heard of it. It's a study of basketball free throws, right? So these three groups, this was done quite a ways back there in Denver University. They took three groups of basketball players, one group, 1 hour a day for 30 days. They said, you're going to practice free throws. The second group, they said, you're going to do nothing. You're going to watch TV and slack off. The third group, they said, you are not going to touch the basketball, but you're going to visualize it. But here's how you're going to visualize it. You're not going to just free throw. You're going to bounce the ball in your mind. You're going to hear boom, 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 the bouncing of the ball. You're going to feel that texture, the bumpy texture of the ball before you throw it. And then you're going to feel your muscles, boom, throw. You're going to hear swoosh, boom, 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 and the ball coming back to you. You're going to engage all of your senses to make that as real as you can in your brain as you practice 1 hour a day of just visualization, boom, boom, boom. Smells like sweaty basketball players. More visual you can make it, the better. It works. And what I found, well, the experiment, first of all, guess what? The people who actually physically practiced, they improved 24% by the end of the 30-day period. The group that slacked off improved 0. The group that visualized improved 23%, nearly on par with those who physically practiced by simply using very specific visualization, imagination techniques. Could we not apply that to everything we do? I think so. I teach photographers to hold their camera and to imagine themselves in their hands. If they don't have a camera with them, this is the days before we had cell phones in our hands all the time. You had to have a real big camera, right? And I would say, imagine that camera, and you press the focus button, and you hear the zzz, zzz, zzz of the autofocus, and you can feel the heavy weight of it. You can feel it pressed up against your nose as you're pressing the look into the glass, and boom, you hear that click in your head, and you're capturing a perfect moment. My students would practice this, and I had one student who actually did this. And a few months later, she came in at a convention and said she had tattooed the word boom, because I used to say boom, imagine it is boom when you touch the shutter. She tattooed boom across her back. I said, that technique changed my life. I'm such a much better shooter now. I love it. I'm like, I wish you'd put Kevin on the back of your neck, but I'll take boom. That's good. You know, whatever. Beggars can't be choosers. So there are the positive uses. The positive uses of our imagination are sort of the opposite of the negative, of course. It's visualizing, right? But what we choose to think, feel, and believe. I want to share with you 4 ways that we can positively use our imagination in a spiritual context. Number 1 is a real simple one. It's using imagination for visualization during guided meditations. You guys, many of you have done this, right? Very, very important use of our imagination in a guided meditation. If you're not using your imagination, you're probably just falling asleep during the guided meditation, right? The other part is putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Can we imagine what it feels like to be this person, that person, who has less, more, different experiences than us? That builds a stronger spiritual sense for ourselves. The other is, well, unity, we actually use it in prayer and meditation, but prayer is visualizing the outcomes, the situation that we want, not complaining, not begging, not asking, but visualizing exactly what we want. And you can use these basketball techniques when you're visualizing to make it as real as possible. Imagine the person, you have a situation you want to pray about. Somebody's ill. Imagine what it feels like to hug that person, and they feel good now. They're happy. They're breathing easy. They're just calm. How good does that feel? That's how we use our imagination in prayer, to affirm those goodnesses. I'm going to show you this. This is a funny. During the beginning of the pandemic, I created a story. I wrote a story and read it, and I dyed my hair. And so I use this as an example of the last way to use your imagination, which I've actually found to be one of the most powerful. And that is to imagine your future self. What would your future self tell you today about what you're doing today? The way you're acting, the way you're contributing to the world, the way you were putting off things that you should be doing. And I used this recently to talk to my future self. Claire and I were just walking down the river trail trying to decide about, talking about retirement and all that stuff that's coming up eventually. And one of the things that I did was to talk to my future self and to say, what do I want to be doing when I'm retired? And my future self wanted to be able to sit in a rocking chair on a porch, looking at the trees, listening to the birds, knowing that I had done everything I wanted to do. There was nothing left unsaid or undone, no leaf unturned, no people I hadn't loved or appreciated enough. And I could enjoy being in my retirement, and I could enjoy not doing anything because I had done it. And that may help us make some decisions about what we're planning for the next couple of years so that I can feel like I've done those things, and when I retire and I talk to my future self, he's going to say, good job, you did it. You were a good person, you helped, you contributed, you explored the world, you did everything that you wanted to do. Now you can relax. And you don't have to regret anything. You don't have to have any regrets. Pure imagination, just like Willy says, pure imagination is the God-given imagination, which comes from a place of love, of kindness, and compassion for all. That's the only real powerful imagination. It's pure. And Willy talks about that in his song, Pure Imagination. I think it was interesting that if you think about prophets, like Jesus or Muhammad or whoever, and they usually talk in parable, and I think that's kind of like Willy Wonka would always talk like that. He never answered the kids' questions directly. He would always answer in a riddle or a song or something different, because I think that's the way a lot of people learn better, something to remember. So I would like to try something. Where are our greeters with their little cards? You guys get a card? If you haven't got a card, let's pass around a card. Everybody get a card. Get a card. Raise your hand if you don't have a card. This could result in a golden ticket, so you want to try this. You want to play. And if you're at home, you guys can do this too online. Get a piece of paper, and I'm going to ask you to write down something. You're going to grab a pen from the back of the chairs. Raise your hand if you don't have one. One of the things with imagination is participation. Imagination is also participation in your dreams and your things. It doesn't happen if you don't do anything about it, right? Things don't get invented unless somebody tries and fails a million times. Okay, everybody got one? Okay, cool. All right, so our first imagination is you're going to talk to your future self. Imagine this future self of yours. Perfect place, perfect time, perfect people surrounding you. What is this future you going to tell you what your future, just 2 or 3 sentences. You can sit for a moment, imagine it, and then 2 or 3 sentences, write down what your future self would tell you that life is like for you. And this should be written positively. It's not going to be like, I don't have any bills, I don't have any kids anymore bothering me. I didn't say that. All right, it's a positive thing. It's a summary of what your future self would say to you. This is how we are. This is your partner, your loving partner that wants the best for you. What is that future self going to say? What's life going to look like for you? And once you've got that written out in 2 or 3 sentences, if you flip the card over and write your name on it. I'm not gonna embarrass anybody, but now we're gonna have our greeters with the baskets. We're gonna pass them around. You're gonna put your cards into the baskets. I won't embarrass you. Don't be shy. So you put them in the baskets, bring them on up here, and we have a golden ticket. One of you is going to get the golden ticket for your entry in there, and we have a little prize. Bring them on up, bring them on up. Where's our prize, Claire? Do we have a prize? We actually have a pretty delicious gift bag with some goodies in here for the winner of the golden ticket. Bring it on up, bring it on up. Okay. Okay. How did that exercise feel for you to talk to your future self? Did anybody have any hesitation? That was interesting. It's always interesting to think, how does it feel? Anybody have something they want to share about how made them feel to talk to this future self? Were you hesitant to say something because you were afraid that it might not come true, so you didn't want to write it down? Yeah, Dave?
I kind of had the internal eye roll, like, oh God, yeah, right. You know,
Like this can't be real, this can't happen, or whatever.
be realistic, yeah.
Be realistic. Oh my gosh, yeah. Anybody else had a thought or a feeling on what it felt like to write this to yourself? Yeah.
Like that I wanted to simplify rather than elaborate.
Simplify rather than elaborate. Yeah, perfect. Anybody else? Yeah, Amadine.
Finally connecting to that wiser version of yourself. There was a lot that wanted to come, and I started to feel the pressure, like there's not enough time in the world to write.
You're right. Yeah, she said, so it started to flow and things started to come and the answers, and you didn't know what to say. Okay, can you guys put all of those into one basket, and then we're going to stir them up and pull one out? Anybody else? Anybody else have a thought or a feeling on how that made you feel to write that down? Yeah, Donna. Energizing. Okay, good.
Okay, here they all are.
Okay, here they all are. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Not going to look.
Ticket.
We're going to pull for the golden ticket. And I'm only going to read your name, and if you want me to, I can read your future self thing. Donna B. I think that's Donna B. Is that yours? Fit, radiant, healthy, filled with joy, purpose, and have made a positive impact on the world through creative pursuits. And so it is. And what's powerful about this is that we can help her affirm this. And this is something I was thinking about doing, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. But I thought, if you put these with your name down on the back table, everybody can look at them, and it's like a group prayer. We're all helping you affirm this come to light. Are you guys okay if we do that? If we put your names down on the back table? Yeah? Okay. If you don't want it, you can pick it up. Put them on this table here, but just with the names down. And if you go to the table to pray on them, don't flip them over, anybody. Just look at the name. No cheating. We got Donna's right here. All right, let's do one final imagination together. All right? You don't have to write anything down. We're just going to visualize together this incredible power of our imagination. We're going to use the techniques, making it as real as possible. Think of how this future we're going to talk about is going to smell, how it's going to feel, the emotions that you're feeling. And I want you to join with me in imagining our community. What does it feel like when you walk in here Sunday morning, any day of the week when something's going on. Imagine the joy of seeing people you know, of knowing that you are supported. Everybody's got your back. How does it feel to hug? As Tamara said, we love to hug here. Imagine hugging your favorite people, what they might smell like, they feel like, their hair. Everything that makes it tangible and real. How good that feels. Imagine the sense that you can say anything that is honest and true for you, and everybody understands and sees you. Imagine that future self of yours in the rocking chair or wherever you are, walking on the beach, living a vibrant life, playing pickleball, whatever it is you do. Imagine yourself filled with joy, knowing that you have friends, you have community, you have support, you have love in abundance. Imagine whatever you want for this community, whether it's growth and bubbling with vibrancy and families and children, or maybe it's something more quiet. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong or what it's going to be. It just means this is what you feel. Imagine the perfect community. How would that feel to you? As we bring our collective thoughts back, let's remind ourselves that imagination is our most powerful of all of our powers. And I was lucky enough to be able to talk about it today because I really think it outshines everything else. If you don't have imagination, you either go downhill or you go up. And I'd like for all of us as a community to take our imaginations together and go up. Rise up together and create the most amazing place we possibly can. Does that sound good? Rock, 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 rock. Rock, rock. All right, let's do it. Thank you, everybody.